Hi guys, and welcome to Unity tutorial of a maze developed using starter assets. So let's see what the amateur can do. The whole idea of the amateur is to be able to get on top of the cabin. So let's see if we can make that happen. There we go. So that is the whole idea of this game, for him to get on top of the cabin. If you guys like, you can even add a timer. Yeah, I have a tutorial on the timer. There we go, and it's going straight to the cabin, up onto the cabin. There we go. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to exit out, and we can put another one of these together and you guys see how it's done. So I'll see you guys shortly. Welcome to Unity 3D Maze tutorial. I'm going to start by clicking on new project, and I'll give my project a name. I'll just call it Maze, and make sure you select 3D. Click on create. Okay guys, to start with this maze, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go straight into Windows right here and go to package manager, and we then need to get hold of the starter asset. So let's go straight into my own asset, and right here just scroll right down the following items that I need. I'm going to need this building construct. Look at it. I'm going to click on import. There we go, and click on import again. I have the building constructor in place. I also need the starter asset, so let's look for that. Scroll right down, and right here there should be three. There we go. Starter asset, third person character, this very one. It's about 69.72 megabyte. I'm going to click on import. Let's click on import again, and there we go. Okay, this warning sign will pop up while you are importing the starter asset. It's just got to do with the project itself using the new input system package, but the native platform back end of the new input system are not enabled. So for you to enable that, all you need to do is just to accept it. Say yes. Click on yes. There. And just for your information, once you click on yes, the system will restart itself. Okay, my starter asset is almost ready. I think it's ready already. So let's come in here and look for trees. And right here, I think there's some realistic trees there. It's about 15 megabyte. I'm going to click on that as well. Import. Click on import. There we go. And I'm going to now have the trees in there anyway. That's it. Let's get hold of maybe some buildings. This one is about 1.70 megabytes. So get hold of that. I will have enough asset to play around with, and just import that as well. So the choice is yours. You don't have to import as much. And I'm also going to import this simple house. It's just 200 and something kilobytes. So just click on import. There we go. And finally, let me go for White City. There, White City do have some beautiful homes that I can use. Just import that as well, and that'll be all. There we go. And that's it. So I've finished with that. I'm going to close that. The other thing that I'm going to need is I'm going to need some bricks and some patterns. So let's go straight into my own folder. I'm just going to drag that, dump it right there. There, in here I have some patterns that I can use. I only need 1 and 2, so I can delete these ones if I want. Alright, now let's continue with the development. So come right here, you see the hierarchy, right click on it and let's select 3D and select plane. and that very plane, I'm going to change the size of that plane to, let's go for 3 by 3 by 3. There we go. Now in here in the project area, I'm going to right click on, let's come into this folder that I've just imported. I'm going to right click on that folder, click on create, and I will select material, this very material. I'm just going to call that pattern. Then once the pattern is created, make sure the material is selected and click on, or come straight to the inspector. You see where we have albedo. Underneath here in albedo, select the icon there, and let's look for the pattern. And right here I have the pattern there. Just click on the pattern, make sure it's selected, close that, and there the pattern is already on the material. All I then need to do is just drag it, drop it on my plane. That is the pattern I intend to trace. Now the next thing is I'm going to right click again. Let's create another material. This material will be for the bricks. Click on material. I'm just going to change that to bricks. There we go. Select, or come straight to the inspector of that very material. Select albedo. Click on the small icon again. You have different types of bricks here. I'm amazed there's some more different types in there. I'm going to select this one that I imported. Okay, now close that. Now the bricks is in there. Okay. Alright, so the next thing I want to do now is go back to my hierarchy again. Right click on the hierarchy, go to 3D, select the cube. That is your cube right there. Okay, can move it up a little bit so that you can see it. This very cube, I'm going to change the size. So let's change the size of that cube to about 7, and I'm going to leave the y-axis as 1 and the z-axis I'm going to make that 0.3. That is good enough. So I can bring that right here and just move it to there. Brilliant. Okay. Yeah, more like that. Alright, so let's do one thing first. I'm going to now grab hold of my brick material, drag it and just drop it on the cube. You see that? So let's see, it kind of like look rough. So let's see, maybe if I come here, you see the tiling. Let's see, maybe we can enhance the look of that. I just enter 2 in there. You see what happened? I think that looks a bit better. No, maybe 2 by 1. 2 by 1 seems a little bit much better. And that's maybe 3. Yeah, 3 looks more pronounced. Okay, we'll leave it as 3. Okay, so I may have to increase the length a little bit, maybe make that 8. And let's see how 8 looks like. Yeah, 8 seems to be too long. Right, maybe 7.5. Okay, that will do. Now let's copy it. You can always come up here, right click and create a duplicate. The very duplicate created, I'm going to change that to change the rotation to 90 degrees. There we go. And that I'm just going to move it over there, pull it all the way. There we go. That's good. Now let's copy this. Copy again, another duplicate, just push it over there. And this very one again, create another 9. This very one, just drag it here. Okay, but I'm gonna need some rooms in here because there's supposed to be space in there. So click on this very scale and just move it in. Yeah, there we go. So there's room here, there's one here, and there should be another one there. Okay, that will do. Right, bring that in. Okay, now I'm going to need one here and another one and another one. So let's change the whole angle. so that you can see it properly. There we go. Alright, so I'm going to copy this now and just reduce the hole. So right click again, Control, or just press Control D to create a duplicate. Yeah, I've created another duplicate in there, so let's just move it here. And this duplicate that I've created, I'm going to just scale it that much and move it here. I think it's going to need a little bit of small scaling. Just push it out. Now copy that one, Control D, bring it here. So I guess you guys get the whole idea. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to kind of like speed up the whole process. Control D, and bring this one here, change that to 90 degrees and move it right here. Get it scaled. It's a long process, but it's a good practice for those of you who want to learn how to do something like this. There's some inbuilt one that you guys can use, but I prefer to do it my way. Right, that is fine. So I am going to speed up the whole process, but before that, you can see the bricks is kind of like I'm getting a lot of bricks on the hierarchy. So I'm going to right click in here. Let's select create empty folder or empty game object, and that very empty game object, I'm going to give it a name. Just call it maze. Now drag every single cube straight into the maze. There, see, just to tidy up. Alright, I'm going to copy this one, Control or right click, duplicate, and bring it right here. And like I said, I'm now going to speed up the whole process. But before I speed up the whole process, I'm going to do one thing. Let's copy this. I can just block that. Duplicate, just move it here. Alright, so that is fine. Close that off. Yeah, before I speed it up, I'm going to go straight into the starter assets so that we can run it and you guys see how it looks like. Look at this starter asset there. Click on the third person folder and let's click on the prefab. So right inside the prefab we need the player amateur, this very one here. So let's change this to the gizmo. Let's change it to free. Now grab the player amateur. I'm just going to dump him right in there. Okay, the player amateur is right in here now, but if we play it, we won't be able to move around that much. Though you will see him moving around, but you can't see I would like the camera to follow him around. That is him right there. Okay, so for the camera to follow him around, what I intend to do is I'm going to go to tools right here, click on the tools, and let's select starter asset, and in there you see reset third person controller amateur. Click on that. There we go. And if you see, notice the camera, you see kind of like a red triangle there, so that is to identify the cine machine attached to it. So let's run it now and see how that looks like. Let's click on run. There we go, look at it. Okay, so we can get our third person to move around now. There we go. And let's see if he can walk through here. I think that place seems to be too narrow. Yeah, it's too narrow, so I'm going to have to do something about that. And that is it. That's our maze. But one thing is, if I click on the space, you see he can kind of like jump out of the maze, and that is not good enough for me. Alright, so that's not good enough. I'm going to have to increase the size of the maze. Okay. Alright, so like I said, I'm going to speed up the whole process and I will get back to you guys shortly. Alright, so let's do that. Exit out. There we go. And speed it up. Okay guys, I've finished with the design of the maze. So let's run it and you see how that looks like. There we go, look at that. That is beautiful. So let this guy walk around. Check that out. You see, but there's one problem that I told you guys about earlier on. When he jumps, he can actually just jump above any of the walls. So look at what I'm talking about. So I don't want that to happen. I don't want that to happen. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to exit out. Let's go to the player amateur. There's a radius. Select the player amateur and let's look for the rate at which he is jumping. Let's see, jump. The height is 1.2. That's a little bit too high, so I'm going to make that 0.4 there. So let's run it now with 0.4. There we go. Let's see how high he can jump. Look at that, he can't jump anymore. There we go. So that means he has to complete the maze. There. Okay, so with that, I'm going to call it the end of the first part of this tutorial, and I will see you guys shortly.